Hello, this is Allison Schneider for EDL-856, Module 16, the case study Parental Apathy Standard 7. Before identifying the problem, I needed to figure out what I already knew about the case and what I should find out. What I knew is that with parents, there was very limited involvement and parental apathy throughout the community. There is no current PTA or PTO, although there were groups in the past. With the principal, there was little support and encouragement and almost no interest in bettering the community relations as a whole. Although he did agree to an advisory group, the situation, I know that they met on a Monday evening and there are 8 attendees, and the principal is not in favor of continuing because of the low attendance. I still need to find out from the parents the specifics of the previous groups. I want to know who was in charge of those groups, what their purpose was, why did they stop meeting, basically. When did they meet, just the specifics of those groups to get a better idea for how to be successful at this advisory group. From the principal, I would want to find out the direct communication details. In what ways was he specifically communicating, to who was he communicating, and how often? And then also, why was there such an opposition to doing a PTO or PTA? From the situation, I would want to find out the available communication platforms that they had. Do they have access to Facebook or newsletters or a school website, just everything they have available? I would also want to find out what the motivation was from the community to start coming to meetings, and then the reasoning for why there is currently low attendance. And then finally, the staff member perspectives on, is there staff members who are currently trained in public relations, or is there training needed? Is there interest in that, and so forth? So in thinking about these things, the main problem I think is twofold. The first priority right now I think is the parental apathy and the low involvement within their parents, but I think that there's an underlying problem in that there is a poor relationship between the school and the community, which is evidenced by the principal apathy and the low involvement from the parents, but also the extent to which other stakeholders are involved, meaning community members, students in the school, like the staff. So I created a 5-step plan of action, starting with step 1 on continuing on at the meeting, then engaging with stakeholders, persuading stakeholders to come to future meetings, creating a shared vision and purpose, and then finally a follow-up. Step 1, continuing on with the meeting. I think this sends a very clear message that although there are only 8 people there, that any support is welcome and that we're wanting to start a foundation for opening up these partnerships within the community. You could use a meeting to discuss the future goals of the advisory group, brainstorm ideas to get more attendance, and discuss possible reasons for low involvement. I would also want to conduct a survey from the eight people there to find out what they think are problems or needs within the school. And then also at the conclusion of the meeting, maybe provide an extra incentive for the following meeting. Maybe something like saying whoever brings the most guests at the next meeting will get some sort of prize of some sort, whether that be a gift card or merchandise or something, just to get a little excitement into the group in the first place. Step 2 is to engage with all stakeholders. The goal of this is to communicate and gather information. I would do this by conducting a needs assessment or a survey and making it available on all platforms available, whether that be Facebook, social media, the school website. You could also create a Google form and make it available online. You could also send out a phone survey or just a paper and pencil survey through the mail. I would also go out and hold face-to-face meetings with community members and parents, if possible, just to get an idea of what they think the school needs and what are the problems that schools are facing, and just to start a relationship with them. I think it's also important to engage with the staff and student groups as well. In order to have a common vision, you have to involve everybody. So meeting with STUCO or other special interest groups on the school grounds. And then finally, meeting with the principal, I think is so important that you have to find common ground, whether that means that you figure out a solution to work together on it, or you potentially ask to take over and be responsible for the group as a whole. I think that you have to approach the situation as a unified stance. So the goal, like I said, is to communicate and gather information, find out the motivating factors in the community, issues and problems that the school and community are facing, but also it's just to show an interest and investment in the community and show an interest in opening the doors to working together. Step 3 is to persuade all stakeholders to attend future meetings, and you do this by at first starting by using incentives Like I said before, you could use gift cards or merchandise or just opportunities for them. Use it in a comforting and welcoming atmosphere. Maybe even include on-site babysitting by STUCO members, which would also show the students buy-in into the program too and the good things that the students are doing for the community. Having on-site babysitting would also make it easier for parents who are single parents or parents who don't have access to babysitters to come to the meeting and be involved as well. Providing refreshments and also multiple ways to attend, whether that be multiple meetings at different times or if that means live streaming the meetings so parents who can't necessarily come at that time can also be involved and maybe potentially come to future meetings. And then at the meetings or with the stakeholders, making sure to highlight the benefits to growing these partnerships and showing that there is data to support it. And this is just a little bit of a data that I found. Researchers and practitioners have documented for some time how schools and communities working toward common goals can be beneficial. Basically, communities and schools both benefit. It's a two-way relationship, and that with that partnership, it can either help students be more successful or it can basically destroy everything. Step 4 is to create a shared vision and purpose at the following meeting. At this meeting, you would want to analyze the data from the surveys, assessments, and face-to-face meetings, showing that you actually listened to their feedback, allowing time for the student groups to share, inviting teachers and staff members to be involved in the process also. And again, the purpose is just to collaborate to define like the overall purpose and expectations of the groups, and finding out when are you going to meet, where are you going to meet, what is that going to look like, how is the partnership benefiting all stakeholders, what are their roles in the process. At the end of it, you would want to find out what does an effective advisory group look like and what is a functioning group looking like at this school. Step 5 is a follow-up. You would want to continue after this meeting to continue listening to the feedback from all stakeholders and responding and dealing with the feedback that they get to kind of fine-tune this group that I'm creating. Identify key roles within the group at future meetings. So what's the specific role of each member? What are they going to be doing? Also, you would want to train staff members on communicating with the public, since this is going to be such a big initiative for this school. Making sure that everybody on staff is aware and knows how to handle public relations. And then also just advertise meeting times, sending out invites to the upcoming meetings through several different platforms, communicating the vision and purpose in a way that's welcoming and not intimidating. You want to make parents feel welcome and not like they're going to get in trouble for not being involved. So resolve the issues based on promoting the success of all students. The data from the case that supports this resolution that I came up with was that there were previous parent groups that shows that there was an interest. The principal already communicates via phone calls and uses that as a gauge of what the community needs and wants. The advisory meeting was scheduled without any input from the stakeholders, and the only communication tool utilized to provide notice of the meeting was an unclear note home to parents that kind of made it seem like they were being in trouble. And so using this 5-step plan is best for students because it shows collaboration among stakeholders. It shows that we're working to create a shared vision and not just one side of it. The parental involvement leads to improved classroom success, and that's backed up by data. Improved school climate, it contributes to improved communication between all parties too. So debriefing the problem, what was I thinking, valuing, and feeling throughout this case study? Things that I was thinking about were the factors that contributed to the breakdown in the relationship in the first place. I was constantly thinking about why such negativity and why such low involvement. I also was wondering what caused the principal to shift his mindset in the beginning anyways, because it said that he started off being really motivated and encouraged, and then he switched. And then also I was just thinking about how you could shift the school toward a more unified, welcoming, and open school climate. Things that I valued, collaboration with all stakeholders. I think it was really important to get everybody on board together, and then building the relationships, not only the relationships that are already in place, but reaching out and creating and building new relationships with the public. And then it also made me value the support of administration and the PTO that's already in place at my own school. It made me very thankful for them. And then feeling, as I was reading through this and thinking about it, at first I felt very stressed and defeated, kind of discouraged by the lack of support from the principal, but also at the same time hopeful toward the end at the meeting, even though there were only 8 people that showed up, I was hopeful because that showed that there was an interest and it was something that you could build with. Things that needed to be investigated further within the community: what are the demographics, culture, diversity, the opportunities for engagement within the community? So where can the students in the school be present within the community? And just the best way to communicate with everybody, whether that be parents, businesses, or non-parents. I also think it would be important to investigate the principal support or the lack of. You want to make sure that your principal and your vice principal are working together toward the same thing and not in opposition to each other. And then I think it would be important to investigate whether there's available funding for parent groups or PTO, PTA from the school district, whether there's support there or not. And then staff involvement, I think, is huge. Is training needed in how to communicate with the public? What should their roles be once the advisory group is finalized? And then are there staff members who already are great at working at improving relationships, and are there something that you can tap in there? So my reflection for component 1, how did you promote the academic success of every student? I offer training to the staff in communication and public relations. There's data that supports increased student achievement in classrooms through increased parent involvement. And then students being involved and invested in the process will lead to an academic success for every student because they're involved in the process and they have buy-in to what we're doing. And this is a little bit of research that I found. Ann Henderson and Karen Mapp found that there's a positive and convincing relationship between family and community involvement and improved academic achievement. So this is just the data that supports that when there's parental involvement, that it benefits the students academically. My reflection for component 2, how did you promote the personal well-being of every student? This is evident in the investing in meaningful partnerships with the students, with the parents, and just showing that you're interested in opening those doors and starting a relationship with them. Also focusing on improving school climate by listening and like the open door policy and transparent policy. Collaboration among all stakeholders, including staff, students, parents, and community members, just shows that everybody's in it together for the students, and it can be a very well-rounded school. And then component 3, how did you promote communities of engagement for families and other stakeholders? I think that's evident by the engagement with the community, from step 1 and 2 on just reaching out to them and communicating with them, having face-to-face conversations, finding out what the true needs and wants of the school are, valuing feedback from stakeholders, and then identifying the expectations and roles for all stakeholders and making sure that every person has a part to play that contributes to our vision of what our group is supposed to be. So in conclusion, following this plan, I hope the school will see many different positive results: improved school climate, better communication between stakeholders, stronger support between community and school, increased academic performance and attendance, and buy-in from all stakeholders. These are my references, and I want to thank you guys for listening and learning with me. Thanks.